Thank you for coming to AnimalCon 2022. Do you mind introducing yourself and telling me what organization you're working with?
My name's Daniel Parker, and I'm the Director of Media for USARK Florida.
And could you tell us what makes USARK Florida different than USARK parent organization?
USARK Florida is a separate organization from USARK National. We work together, but we are funded separately, and we're funded primarily from donations from people in Florida, though we welcome anyone to donate, of course. And we're working specifically on issues for reptile keepers in Florida. So if you're in Florida, you really need to be supporting USARK Florida. And we, of course, encourage everyone to support USARK National also.
A lot of times people don't realize why we need special attention in Florida, that USARK needs its own organization here. Could you touch on some of the issues you guys have been working with?
There are a lot of issues for reptile keepers in Florida and animal keepers in general. The agency that regulates animal keepers in Florida right now is, at least for most of the animals we deal with, is Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, or FWC. And they've passed a number of regulations in the past few years, including some in just the past few months, that affect reptile keepers and animal keepers in general. So we had prohibited species regulations that were implemented. It started with yellow anacondas, but then they added iguanas, tegus, and they also made species that were formerly considered conditional species. So they had special regulations. They transferred those to the prohibited species program, so it makes it much more difficult to keep them in captivity. So we had those issues. Then we've had some rules recently dealing with animal keepers' licenses, and if an animal keeper loses their license, they can actually lose their animals. And then there was another rule recently passed that if you are injured by an animal or an animal escapes, that can also affect your license. You have to report yourself for that injury or escape, and that can be a violation depending on if it's considered egregious or negligent. So these are all issues that FWC has kind of brought to animal keepers in Florida, and there's been some pushback. Not everybody's happy about these regulations, and USARK Florida is always trying to work with FWC. It hasn't always been a smooth relationship, but we're very happy to work with them and try to work through some of these issues for the good of animal keepers and specifically reptile keepers in Florida.
People in other states might not be aware that to keep reptiles and sell them at all, even one gecko, you need a license. Is that correct?
Most of the reptiles that are commonly kept in Florida are what are termed Class 3 species, and they can be possessed without a license, but they can't be sold or displayed. So if you want to sell or display these animals, you have to have a Class 3 license. One of the problems that has come to light recently is that with this new licensing rule, if your license is revoked by FWC, you can actually lose your animals, even if those are animals that don't require a license to possess. So that's a pretty serious issue. And a lot of people are thinking about whether they even want to have these licenses, which is something that FWC should be concerned about.
And so as USARK Florida, you guys are trying to work with and educate FWC about what kind of goes into responsible reptile keeping?
Yes, we're constantly keeping an open dialogue with FWC. It hasn't always been the smoothest of relationships because we feel that rules have been passed without our input. We have 2 members of 28 people on a committee. It's called the TAG group. That's a technical advisory group, and they're working with FWC on non-native species regulations. But reptile keepers only have 2 of the 28 people on this committee, like I said. So we may or may not be getting a fair shake. There are a lot of people that are opposed to what we do on the committee. In fact, a lot more of them than there are of us. But through the TAG committee and through a dialogue, we're trying to keep up communications with people within FWC, and we encourage them to reach out to us at any time, and we're very happy to talk about these issues.
Do you have to live in Florida to support USARK Florida?
No, you don't have to live in Florida to support USARK Florida. We encourage you to support us from all over. It is important to understand that what happens in Florida can affect the rest of the country. Florida sets precedents. We have one of the largest animal industries and reptile industries in the country, and what our Fish and Wildlife does here, other agencies will likely follow. And we know that they're in constant communication. They're coordinating law enforcement efforts, staff members trying to sync up regulations. We know that's something that's happening, so people should be concerned all over the country about what is happening in Florida. And yes, we encourage support from all over.
As USARK Florida representative here at AnimalCon, do you have any closing thoughts?
I'd just like to thank everyone who has supported USARK Florida. We've gotten such an outpouring of support. We had a successful auction at the National Reptile Breeders Expo a week ago. We had people from all over the country and really all over the world supporting USARK and USARK Florida. And it's just been really great to see how much support people have. We're just a small group of people. We're human beings. We're up against a big, well-funded government agency at times. So we need all the help we can get, and we really appreciate those who have supported us.
Thank you for spending your time.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Everyone have fun at AnimalCon.